my marks were defining who I was because there was nothing else that I was allowed to do. I'm good at art. I was good at acting.
But none of that mattered.
But none of that really mattered because there were no grades for it. No? My parents, I don't think, understood what learning disabilities was. They were embarrassed. Today, even when I say this, they're like, no, that's not true. I know it. They were really embarrassed. I don't know how Amir Khan did this, but he got Tari Zameen for bang on.
For parenting tips, celebrity interviews, recipes, conversations with experts, DIYs, and lots more. Subscribe to Kids Talk Press now.
Benaisha Kharas' journey goes back to when she was 10 years old in grade 4 and was diagnosed with dyslexia. There was a little awareness of dyslexia back in the 90s that it was a learning difficulty. She was labeled as lazy and stubborn, and all that criticism really knocked her confidence. But eventually, she didn't let that stop her. And that's what makes her really special, and that's what makes her come by on the Kids Talk Press episode to share with each one of us listening to this that nothing can actually inhibit the journey, the life, and the growth that you're going to experience or your children are going to experience, and nothing can really, really hold you back. Welcome, Benaisha.
Thank you.
It's so nice to have you, and I am just so happy to have someone who's been so honest about her journey.
Thank you.
And tell me, when you decided to share your story, were you scared that, okay, now, first there were a bunch of people who were going to talk about LD, and now I'm opening it to the world to talk about it?
From grade 4 to grade 10, there was nothing new for me. Like holidays or not holidays, because I needed extra classes. So I never got to really travel and go out, and my parents couldn't really send me on these, family holiday lessons because I needed to get through life. My parents were thinking, and I didn't come from a business family. My parents both work, even till today. So they came from, I came from an educationist family actually. So my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, they all were in the teaching and education space. My parents, of course, came from a different accounts and finance space, but we all were professionals. So for them, it was like, she's got to learn how to deal with it, or she's got to learn how to, figure it out, or, education was a very, very important factor.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing I wasn't doing well.
Yeah.
So, there was a lot of that. And my marks were defining who I was. Because there was nothing else that I was allowed to do. I'm good at art. I was good at sports. I was good at acting.
But none of that mattered.
But none of that really mattered because there were no grades for it. No? And because there were no grades for it, no teacher promoted it. And my teacher, I remember when I used to participate in sports day, and obviously you need to take out time to go and practice, right? They used to be like, well, what will you do with it? Is that going to get you grades? Like, those were the conversations I heard. Is that going to get you grades? You're going to miss you're going to miss a class, you're going to waste your time, and you're going to fail anyway. And then to me, I was like, oh my God, so I'm back there. So I had zero desire or choice to actually deal with any of that, any of the extracurricular activities. There were a few moments where I actually did have a breakthrough and I participated in some of them to really know that I was good at it. But those were those very rare jewel moments of my life.
Right. But tell me, your parents knew about it. Did it mean learning in a different way altogether, or did it mean learning the same way but just more practice?
Truth be told, my parents, firstly, I don't think understood what learning disabilities was. And frankly speaking, there was no one to explain it. Like literally no one. So 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade was a blur for them, wherein they were like,
why can't she get it?
No, it wasn't more about why can't she get it. Like, to a point, sometimes they were like, really, that's our kid, but we didn't have this.
Yeah, we didn't want this.
I don't think they reached that point. They were slightly more on the empathetic bit of things, but they were embarrassed. Today, even when I say this, they're like, no, that's not true. I know it. They were really embarrassed. They were really embarrassed for any parent-teacher meeting. My dad couldn't just wrap his head around what just happened here. you know, like why is she the way she is? Like what just snapped overnight? Because we suddenly went from Benaisha the smart kid and enthusiastic to Benaisha the lazy one there.
Yeah.
So I think for them it was a lot of acceptance,
Mhm.
and to see my parents not accept me,
Was that hard?
very hard. I think, and that's where it came that what is the point of me being here? Why do I need to live in a space wherein I'm not just accepted for how defected I am?
Yeah.
You know, and I don't blame them, but I mean today I understand it better. But at that point of time, I had a lot of resentment towards them. I had a lot of like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to be with you. I don't want to hang out with you. I don't want to listen to you, because all you were doing was just comparing me. And that's how they were brought up.
Yeah.
They didn't know any better.
Yeah.
They had, I mean, they come from families of like when they had like 2 siblings and 3 siblings each, you know. So they knew, and they were the youngest of their siblings. So they were always compared to say that, okay, look at your elder sister, look at your this. So I was also compared to like cousins of the similar age group of mine, or even my younger sister by then who had come, you know, who was and who's been a bright student, bright. So you know, it was just very challenging. Like every day coming back home from school was the nightmare.
Right.
Like school was a nightmare, but in school there are so many kids that you can just blow yourself out. Like there was so many times I used to just hang out in the bathrooms because I just didn't want to go to class.
You're breaking my heart. Like I'm feeling like I just cannot. I cannot fathom your pain.
Yeah, it was just one of those moments wherein like, you know, till today, like I said, I'm much older, but when I still dream, those bathrooms are very vivid in my mind. And fun fact, I don't know how Amir Khan did this, but he got Tari Zameen for bang on. Like bang on.
Yeah.
I think the time when this vocabulary of learning disabilities, dyslexia, dyscalculia, ADHD, all of it, he kind of got it spot on. That kid in that movie
Was you?
was me, and was 100 of us there. And I'm not even joking. Like today when I speak to so many people, like which we found much later, right? It was exactly just that. Just that I didn't go to boarding school, but I pitched it to my parents. I said I need to go to boarding school because I was so frustrated. I just thought like I'll go to a new place and I'll
then
wipe
solve the
this.
problem.
I'll wipe the slate clean and I'll be somebody totally new. You know, I'll be that person and they'll give me a chance because they don't know me.
Yeah.
Here, I wasn't even allowed to try to be new.
Yeah.
Because anytime I went to the teacher and I said, I got this, I know this, keep quiet. You really don't know it. Like, it made fun. Like, when your teacher makes fun of you, you know that there's nothing left for you in school.
Yeah.
You know? And that was a bit, that was just a lot of stress. And then life happened. I moved schools.
Right.
I don't know what happened to that, but my parents decided to. So I lived in South Bombay, and I went to a school in South Bombay from kindergarten to grade 8. And then my parents decided that they wanted to move, you know, midtown somewhere near like Parel, Dadar. And so we moved to Dadar, but that was still much later. So in the first part, they said let's move your school MC because you know that'll help you because you're in grade 8. That comes a time when I repeat grade 8. And for me, it was like, oh my god, such a bad thing because that means I failed in front of everyone.
Yeah.
You know, earlier it was my teacher, my parents, and me who knew my report card, right?
Yeah.
Now everyone knows because I repeated a whole year, which means I lost some of my friends. Honestly, at that point of time in that school, I had a few friends, but I got bullied for like, you know, being that kid who'll just do all the cool girls' work, and I went to an all girls school, so it's a bit difficult there when you had an all girls school. I feel. Anyhow, so when I moved schools, I went to a lovely school. I'll say the school's name and not the other. So I went to Beacon High, and which is an ICSE school in Bandra, and we had a separate remedial center, which was missing in my first school. And while my first school is very popular,
I already know the name of the school.
it just didn't have the facility for
Yeah.
me at that time. Now I believe that they do, but I don't know how it operates. So Beacon High, provided me with empathetic teachers, a wonderful counselor who I till today keep in touch with, teachers who I till today keep in touch with, a lovely principal who's still there. And they really understood my pain point. So when I spoke to them, it wasn't gibberish. When I told them that my head is blurring out and I can't think beyond 15 minutes, I wasn't classified as a lazy kid. Or when I said, okay, I'm writing and now I forgot what I have to write, can I just say it instead of writing the exam? They didn't judge me on it.
Yeah.
So they understood the craziness with all of that. And that for me kind of made it slightly better, I'd say. But yeah.
Wow. And then you mentioned that you almost were on the verge of taking your life.
Yeah.
What was that like, and how did the parents deal with it?
Honestly, I think my parents kind of.
What was the tipping point that led you to say, this is it, I'm not worth it?
So, while growing up with all of this, I did not really form any sort of good, strong relationships within my family because, I had my cousins and my parents were there, but my dad actually had a slight different expectation from me. And today I think very differently, and him and I have a very different bond, a much greater and better bond. But while growing up, I feel like he was going through a lot in his life as well. And he was a young parent. My parents had me when they were 24, so there's a very young age gap between it. And while growing up, I don't think he understood the methodology of patience. And that's pretty much because I think he wasn't shown that in his child. Now that I'm diagnosing it. And that led me to a lot of resentment towards him because he just didn't get it like my mom did. And I was like, why? Both are your parents. And I used to not have a great time. His expectations were very different, mine were different. That led to a lot of arguments, a lot of ugliness around. And I didn't want to be there. Like I feared my father a lot. And that fear really swallowed me. And I couldn't take another open day. I just couldn't take another open day because that was the end of it. Like I even now while I'm talking to you, just going back to that very singular moment where I decided, I felt a great sense of pain and dizzy in my head I couldn't just process it. Like I just did not want to go through another parent-teacher meeting wherein I was scolded, shouted, and even at one point like whacked on it by a teacher. So I did not want that anymore. And I just thought like I had nothing going right for me in life.
And you thought ending it would be easy.
Just easier. It would just be cool. I thought I tried like disappearing also. I just thought I'll take my cycle away and always off from Marine Drive and just go somewhere. But it takes a lot of courage, and I did have a lot of desire to live because I knew I was special in some format. So that conflict of
So tell me, in this 15, when did you try to do it? 15?
no,
14?
I was 13, 12, 13.
When you're 12 and 13, there is a part of you that wants to disappear, end everything.
Yeah.
What was the other part of you that said, Beniasha, you're special, hold on?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that for all the kids who are trying or who are battling this,
Yeah.
Beniasha, your story is going to make them say that there is a world
yeah.
after that moment, and how do you let that moment pass and not get carried away?
Right. So, when today when I deal with a similar situation as a therapist or a consultant here to parents and children, I think the intensity is what we need to understand of the child. Like, what is it that's so bad for you? And see, when you're 12, everything is too much or nothing. Like, all or nothing, right? And that's what it was for me. But there is always a voice within you that doesn't want it, but wants people. So I'll be very truthful with you. I wanted someone to be on my side and be in my corner.
Mm.
I wanted someone to feel bad for me. I wanted someone to notice the fact that I'm really going through hell. And if it meant taking myself away from this planet, I think then that would be great. Like I used to have these thoughts like, oh my God, at least then people will understand my pain.
You wanted to be seen.
I wanted to be seen. I wanted to be heard. I wanted to be cared for. In the way I understood.
Mm.
I'm not saying my parents didn't care for me. They really did. They tried their best. But they were too rational to understand what I was going through.
True.
They were trying to do the right thing, and I just wanted to just be. And I think most parents today, in the power of perfection, they lose the vision of just being. Like sometimes you just gotta sit with your kid and stare into space and just do nothing and not ask about how's your day at school.
Yeah, because that's the last thing. That's the one part you want to get over with.
Yeah, nothing happened at school. I don't want to share anything that happened at school. No, but there must be something. No, there was nothing that happened at school. No, come on, think about it. One good thing. Nothing was good at school, Mom. Nothing. Oh, you're being very pessimistic, Benaisha. I'm not. There's nothing good at school. Fine. You're just being stubborn now. You don't want to talk? Fine. Let me know when you're ready. I'm not going to be ready. I don't want to talk about this. These are conversations that are very typical in households even today.
Yeah.
And it's not the parents' fault, right? It's they know what they know. But today, of course, I mean, if my mom had your podcast to hear it out, they would be great because she would get some kind of tools to work around, some stories to share. But back in the day, in the 90s and the early 2000s, there was nothing. There was literally nothing. You couldn't even pick up an encyclopedia and get any information on it. The word dyslexia did not exist in that, except the dictionary.
Yeah.
So I think that was the only definition that they got. So anyhow, but I feel like today when somebody is listening and any kid is listening to this or parent is listening, I would say that let's put a break on what will happen of her or him. Whatever will happen, right? But be in the here and now. Just hold your kid's hand, look them in the eye and say a simple thing. I am here for you, however you need me, whenever you need me, and for whatever you need me. And actually fulfill it. Because those 3 sentences are extremely powerful for a child to hear from the parent. There is no way a kid will go to anybody else if you are available. When you are not available, your child will think of anybody else, the first, next criminal also, as their best friend if you don't show up. Because inherently the child has always understood that these are my 2 co-people. But when the 2 co-people go, then it can be replaced by anybody else. And then you can't say we are in bad company. I'm in the company I best got. Right? So today in this space of my kid needs to be, very articulate, very enthusiastic, very bright. Why can't your kid be that person who doesn't wish to talk? Your husband can be. Oh, he's introverted. Why? Because he's like 30, 40 years old and you've understood his personality.
Yeah.
So he's introverted. Or I'm extroverted. Or I'm like this. My kid should be, because today's times kids need to be. Why kids didn't need to be that 30 years ago? Everybody wants a bright kid out there. But brightness can reflect differently. The sun still shines during an eclipse.
Yeah.
Right? So I think the acceptance from parents today is of prime importance than of just children understanding of their expectations. And I think that is something that I have taken from my childhood. And when my mom was mothering my younger one, pretty much I did. So she's been a working mom, so she understands things with a lot of math and measure, but you sometimes need to just work with the heart. And she got that along. And my mom said to me a very interesting thing when she found out that I actually wanted to, do what I wanted to do and just run away and all of that. She said, you know what, Benaisha, it's really sad to know that you are only looking at everybody else who is, who's telling you things, but you're not looking at the only one person who's in your corner, which is me. And I actually had blurred her out because I'm like, moms do it, yeah. They're always there for you, big deep, but dad's not there. This one's not there, that one's not there. So I wasn't really appreciating who was there. And that is something that I learned in that moment, that focus on what you do have. And that's what changed.
I didn't know what to say. I was out of words. It was so beautiful.
Thank you. It was all like just there.
For parenting tips, celebrity interviews, recipes, conversations with experts, DIYs, and lots more. Subscribe to Kids Talk Press now.